Okay, we're learning for Refuah Shlema for Adina Basesta and Leil Nishma Shlomo ben Moshe. Shlomo ben Moshe was a person who never got married. He davened in the shul in my neighborhood. You would notice him and notice that this guy had a hard life. And they found him dead in his apartment. Uh, so Shlomo ben Moshe, Shama Shav and Leah. Guys, it's not the real world because it just wasn't fair. It didn't seem to be fair. All in the Kushta. Okay. Anyway, we're getting Menachos. Anytime you begin a Masechta, there's always this people who give these a tremendous amount of information that you listen to and you promptly forget. So basically, I'm going to be Makatsa very, very much. Right. I'm going to be Makatsa very, very, very much. But you have to know. And a lot of it you know because Zvachim, we did Zvachim, and Zvachim and Menachos, they're all karbonis. The only difference is what type of carbon is, but they're both karbonis. Okay. So basically, there's Minchas Nedava, and there's Minchas Nedava, and there's Minchas Chova. A Minchas Chova, you have to bring it. So the classic Minchas Chova that we have to know is the Mincha V'chota. For three possible Averis, a person brings an oil of Yored. For three possible Averis, a person brings an oil of Yored. In other words, if he goes in the base of English Tameh, Shuas Eidis, Shuas Abitoy, Shuas Lahar Leitiv, he goes ahead, he's going to bring, if he's wealthy, he's going to bring a sheep. If he's not, birds. If really poor, he's just going to bring what? He's just going to bring a mincha. That's a minchas chiyuv. That's a chayva. There's other chayva of the tzibur. There's a minchas aymed, minchas shelachem, v'chahena. Most of the menachos are nedava. You go ahead, you make it misnadev. I'm going to bring a mincha, right? Or a neder. If it's this flower is the mincha. Hari alai, hari zu, neder benedava. In the parsha of nedava, there's basically five types. You have a minchas silas. That's the classic. Minchas silas is you have flour gemished with ale. You have flour that goes ahead what it's bolo with oil. It has oil mixed in, right? Then you have what's called a minchas machavas and minchas marcheshes. These are not only put together, but they're fried. The machvas is a flat pan. It's a little hard, and marcheshes is a little taller pan. But these are nedava. A person says, "I'll bring a minchas machavas, minchas marcheshes." You would go ahead, you'd make it, you would go ahead and crumble it up, and the kohen would do the kamitza on the crumbs, which is problematic. We're going to discuss that. And then there's a mincha called minchas afe sanor, where you would be baked. Instead of fried, it's baked. And that you would be two types, either a chalos or a kikin. Either chalos or a kikin. Chalos is the shemen is put in beforehand, but kikin is put in the shemen after it's made. So basically, those are now what's very, very important to remember, and we do remember, and is the corollary between the avodas Adam and the avodas of the mincha. Yes, I said it yesterday, but I said something that's not right, which I'm sorry, I apologize for. Baruch Hashem, so I don't think anyone's going to remember it, so that's not so bad. So these are the the four things that what we know that the four avodas Adam. This is not a bechina. Shchita, Kabbalah, Halacha, and Zrika. That is, the shchita is the kamitza, when you take the kaimitz. Putting the kaimitz in the kli is tantamount to Kabbalah. Walking it over to the mizbeach. Yesterday I told you that's Hagasha. That is incorrect. Hagasha is a separate step in something else. And it's not, there's a Hagasha where you bring it to the southwest corner. That's not the halacha, but we're discussing. So that prat, please take out of your mind, if anyone had it in your mind. And the halacha, and then the burning of it is zrika. The burning of it is what? Is zrika. The first Mishnah deals with the first Mishnah in Zvachim. Any animal that you do shaloi lishma, in one of the four avodas of the dam, you do shaloi lishma, is kosher, ela shaloi olul b'ayil l'shem chayva. It's good, except it doesn't count towards, right. So our Mishnah is going to begin with the same thing. It's discussing it's the mincha, and B, it's discussing the four avodas of mincha rather than what the avodas of just like a chatas. Yeah, you can close that thing. Yeah, just a chatas, just like a chatas. Is shaloi lishma doesn't work. The minchas chayta also won't be lishma, won't work. The mincha of the chayta. In addition to the minchas chayta, there's the minchas kenois. There's the mincha of a saita. A saita brings the mincha, and again, the saita is a suffix what she did. Well, that also is shaloi lishma. If you bring that minchas kenois shaloi lishma, also will not be oil by Hashem chayva. That's basic again. That's basically the information that we have to know. And Be'ez Hashem, we'll get into. There are many more. The minchas oimed, the whole sugi of oimed is in this in Masechta. The shtei lechem that's on Shavuos is in this Masechta, and also in the Masechta is a halacha of stam. The Mishnah, the halachas of Sifrei Torah. The halachas. Hesh, there's a thing on the side. Let's look like this. You don't expect any calls, but someone calls you at this time all the time. Now, anyway, what was I saying? Stam, right? The stam is in the Masechta also. The mezuzah, the Torah, tefillin, this all the yeshiva bachim, the baritzah bachim get the pshetel from this Masechta. The lashon of mincha is very, very interesting, guys. The lashon of mincha is fascinating, right? The lashon of mincha is fascinating. Where does it come from? So there's a Sefer HaChinuch and Mitzvah Kuf Tes Zayin. Sefer HaChinuch Mitzvah Kuf Tes Zayin says something fascinating. He says that a mincha, most minchas on the davos. Most minchas on the davos, again, the only saita for a yachid. It's saita or that, because even in the realm of chatas for the oil of yored, let's say you're not poor. So it's very limited, because if you did a chatas regularly, you don't have the option of bringing flour. That's only for those three averis that are discussed in Vayikra Hay. So it says that it's not a common thing. So most menachos are nedava. So it means that this person went ahead and wants to give a mincha to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He wants to give a present to Hashem. Now, when you give a present to your friend, usually says it's usually not so expensive. So therefore, we call this carbon that's from flour, we call it a mincha. That's where it comes from. We call it a mincha. And on the way, I just came back from a siyum. My grandson met a siyum. I came back and I was listening to Swilly Bornstein in the car, and he quoted a Gra. That the Gra says, he says that we know that the mincha. Why do we call mincha the tefillah of mincha? You know, the ovis were metaking the. This is the Gra. The ovis were metaking the tefillas, right? Avram was metaking Shachris, Yitzchak mincha, Yaakov's marvid. But the Gemara also there in tefillas of Shachris says it's connected to kabbanis. Shachris is connected to Tav Shel Shachar, and the mincha is connected to Tav Shel Ben Abayim. Now, the Shachris is the opening line, the concept of a seeking. We want to get the earliest you can to the Semikula Tefillah. So it goes on since it's the Gra says it's the opening carbon of the day. It's the carbon tamid. So Shachris is the seeking. We daven as early as possible. Keneged the earliest. Mincha, the carbon Ben Abayim, is the last carbon of the day. So there we go. Keneged the last avoida. What's the last avoida in a carbon? Is the minchas nesachim that was brought with the carbon. There's minchas nesachim. Every carbon of the tzibur had an accompanying libation of wine and a mincha. So that is the mincha, and that's why it's called tefillas mincha. Says the Gra, because the tefillah is keneged the Tamid Ben Shalabayim, and Tamid Ben Shalabayim is the last tefillah of the day. So we go to the last action that was done, and that's the mincha. So that's connection between the word mincha. We have a taich from the Sefer Chinuch, and mincha, according to the Gra, right, is why it's called, we call it tefillas mincha, and that's for Hashem mincha. Yehudu Yerushalayim Kanmaniyos. That's the big sweet, the mincha. And the Gra calls the mincha the Bechir Sheba Kabbanis. Is the chosen of the Kabbanis. It's a unique, special place. The carbon mincha.
It says nefesh.
The nefesh. It says nefesh by mincha. It says askara by mincha. It says a lot of things by mincha that it doesn't say by other things, because the mincha is very dear to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Here, Kadosh Baruch Hu owns the whole world. Hashem Haaretz U'Malaya, everything belongs to Hashem. So a rich guy brings the zaftig ox, right? And the poor guy brings the flour with a little oil. That little flour, that little oil means more than the zaftig ox, because that's all. He's taking away from his family. His family has nothing. He's taking away some flour and some shemen in lieu. Then that's nefesh. He's giving his nefesh. So therefore, it's very very unique, special, very good rabbi. And that's the carbon mincha. So it's a little hakdama to what we're going to discuss. So the first part of the daf is a repeated zvachim. The latter part of the daf, I sent out a chart today, which will be very helpful. Okay, says the Mishnah. Hatzlacha Rabbah. Kol menachos shenikbetzu shaloi lishman. All menachos that the kmitza is done shaloi lishman kisheris el shaloi olabam shem chayva. So this would be equal to the zvachim that are geshachten, right? Now you might recall that in Masechtas Zvachim it wasn't only the shchita, but even the Kabbalah was shaloi lishma, the halacha was shaloi lishma according to not Reb Shimon, and according to and Zrika shaloi lishma. So you look at Tosfos quickly. Kol menachos shenikbetzu shaloi lishman kisheris. Avoida kamaisa nakat. We're just picking the first avoida, which was kmitza. For who adin, the same halacha would apply nesinas bekli, putting in the kli, which is Kabbalah, v'haylacha, or bringing it over to the mizbeach. V'aktara is rika. So if you had shaloi lishma in any one of these avoidas, when we said over here, we just mentioned shenikmitzu. It's lav dafka that avoida, but any of the other avoidas that are the avodas of the mincha also would go ahead and create the situation of shaloi lishma, not limited to what? To kmitza. So chutz, the only one chutz that would not count is minchas chayta or minchas kenois. The mincha of a chayta, the mincha of again, there's only the minchas of a chayta only three averis: vayikra hey, tumas mikdash shgadasha, shvuas pito, and then shvuas edis. Right, that would be where you're going to bring what? You're going to bring a minchas chayta. But if you minchas chayta, let's say you're bringing the shem machavas or the shem machashes, it's not shaloi lishma, right? But it's not all about shem chayva. Now, the Mishnah is discussing shinu kodesh, fellas. There's two types of shinuim: there's shinu kodesh and shinu bailam. Shinu kodesh shaloi lishma means it's supposed to be one type of carbon and it's another type of carbon. Rashi says it's supposed to be a machvas, it's supposed to be a marcheshes, which is a shtickle chiddush because they're both carbon menachos. Okay, we'll see. So you're bringing it. So you're bringing that. That's one type. Another shaloi lishma would be you bring it ruvains l'shem Shimon. That's shinu bailam also. But our mission is discussing what shinu kodesh. It seems to be minchas chayta, minchas kenoish comes in shaloi lishman, or nasan bekli, or v'halach, or v'hikdish shaloi lishman, or lishman shaloi lishman. Let's say in one avoda you began doing it correctly, and then you switched gears within the avoda. So I did kamitza, and I'm thinking kamitza. I begin thinking about lishma, and then I say, no, I'm being it shaloi lishma. Within that avoda, that right. Psulish, the puzzle. Ketzat lishma l'shaloi lishma. My example be lishma l'shaloi lishma. L'shem minchas chayte, l'shem minchas nedava. I first start off with chayte, and then I switch to nedava, or shaloi lishma l'shman, l'shem minchas nedava, or l'shem minchas chayte. And I switch gears there in the middle. In all these cases, it's going to be puzzle because you're speaking about what? You're speaking about a carbon chayta, and once you switch, basically it's all over. Once you switch, you're finished. Okay, again, this is the same Gemara that we have over here. We have the same Gemara in Masechtas Zvachim. It says, Kol menachos shenikbetzu shaloi lishman kisheris, right? Ella shaloi oil l'baylam shem chayva. Fred Gemara, lama lemisni ella. Lisni v'lo yolu l'baylam shem chayva. You might recall the beginning of Zvachim that we said that the Lo'ilam, a person in the Gemara in Pesachim, should go ahead and Mishan to his Talmidim b'lashon ketzara. You should go ahead and use the most simplistic, right? It's much more simplistic to write V'loi rather than Ella. So Ella is also mashma, like it's kasha, but however, Ella. In other words, what's the Ella over here? So we have a problem. What is the lashon of Ella? Rashi meditani Ella mashma dechol dina keminchas kashera Ella zebel vad. In other words, in every aspect of this carbon, it's good, but Ella, this is shaloi lishma. In other words, you have everything except one thing, right? You have everything except one thing. That's what it's mashma Ella, but you don't have this one thing. Okay. Ha kamashmalan lebailim hu delay alo l'shem chayva. Mincha gufa kashera. It's Kiddush again, the same text. Lebailim hu delay oil l'shem chayva. It doesn't count for him Ella, but hamincha gufa ksheira, it's kasha. V'yaseh l'shinuyeh, and it's also to change. Meaning, once you had one shaloi lishma, that's it. You can't change more. So you might think the following: I start off with kimitza. I do a kimitza shaloi lishma. I figure once I messed up, so I'll do a nesinas bekli shaloi lishma. I'll do halacha shaloi lishma. I'll do haktorah shaloi lishma. No. Ella, in other words, you did this, but that's it. Nothing more. You can't do. You can't make any other mistakes. You made that one mistake. That's the one mistake. You can't make another mistake. Kidarava, damarava, oila sheshachta shaloi lishma. Oila that you shechta shaloi lishma. You did the avoid of shchita shaloi lishma. Asa lizraik dama shaloi lishma. It's asa to do the last avoida of zrika shaloi lishma. Iba yasem svara. Iba yasem akra. I could tell you it's a svara. I could tell you it's a pasuk. Iba yasem svara. Mishan mishani ba kalhani lishni ba v'nezel. Guys, you messed up once, so it's a right to continue messing up. You make a mistake. You don't continue to make a mistake, right? You don't make a mistake. You make a mistake once. You don't continue to make the same mistake. So that's a svara. So I made a mistake in the shchita. That doesn't give you a right to make a mistake in the Kabbalah halacha zriko or by Menachos in the sinus kli, the halacha or the burning. V'yibay say makra, it's a pasuk. Moitzi, guys, just keep in mind, neder v'nedava, what's a neder? It's on yourself, harei alai. What's a nedava? Harei zu. Discarded, right? So now, moitzi svasecha tishmar, that comes out of your mouth. Tishmar, you go ahead and watch. V'asisa, and you should do kasher nadarta. You should do like you right? La Hashem elokecha nedava. Guys, listen to this pasuk. Moitzi svasecha tishmar. V'asisa kasher nadarta la Hashem elokecha nedava. So you made a neder to Hashem and do like Hashem nedava. Nedava, neder who kari, right? Kari le neder, kari le neder. It's neder, nedava. You're calling it nedava, neder who? It's a neder. It's on me. It's not on the object. It says the more kari le neder, kari le nedava. Ela what? Im kemash nedarta asisa. If you go ahead and did what you were supposed to do, yeah, neder. It's going to fulfill your neder. Your neder will be fulfilled. You'll be yotzi yechiv, guys. Harei alai, that's your neder. You'll be yotzi yechiv. You did it. V'im lav. And if you do not go ahead and do it the right way, yehei nedava. It should be a nedava. V'nedava mishari l'shenuyeba. Guys, look at me. Guys, look at me. It's a pasuk. Watch, guys. Look at this pasuk. Moisei secha tishmar. It's a neder, and then it's a nedava. So, im moisei secha tishmar. If you do it like you're supposed to do, Hari's a neder, you'll be yotzi yechiv. V'em lav, and if you don't do what you're supposed to do, meaning you messed up the neder, you did it shloi l'shma, then it'll be a nedava, meaning it'll be a viable carbon. So if it's a neder and it's a viable carbon, how can you go ahead and make a change? In other words, it's a live vichtig carbon, and you can go ahead and change it more? You can't do that. You can't do that, right? So therefore, geschmack, it's either a svara, that you can't, once you messed up, you can't continue messing up, or it's a pasuk. I messed up, so it changes from a neder to a nedava. But a nedava is a carbon. If it's a carbon, I can't go ahead and make a shinuyim changes in the carbon. I messed up once. I can't continue messing up. Okay, so that's the end of where Menachos meets Zvachem. And this is the opening line. Now we're going to suggest that the Mishnah is not like Reb Shimon. Says the Gemara, Lema mas nisan the like Reb Shimon. Let's say the Mishnah is not like Reb Shimon. Why? The following, the Tanya, Reb Shimon Omer, Kala Menachos, shenikmetzu shaloi lishman, all Menachos that you did a kimitzu shaloi lishman, kisherais, the kasha, va'olu labaylam Hashem chayva, and they count. She'ena Menachos daimis lizvachim, because they're not comparable to zvachim. She'akoimitz machvas l'shomar cheshes, right? If a person goes ahead and does kmitza and machvas, and he says, I'm doing a marcheshes, ma'iseh machichin aleha, l'shem machvas. Guys, look at me. A machvas is a flat pan. A marcheshes is a big pan. You're going ahead and you're saying, I'm bringing this l'shem marcheshes. It's a machvas. If you're doing a potato kugel, l'shem a noodle kugel, it's a potato kugel. It's not a noodle kugel. You could see, right? You could see. Yes? So Memela says of Shimon, if you're going to bring Shaloi Lishma, again, this is Shina Kodesh. If you're going to bring Shaloi Lishma, you're going to bring what? One, not only is it good, but it's even counts for the owner, and you won't have to bring another one. So Maisa, in other words, the Maisa, whatever he says, we're going to throw away. We're going to see Machshava means Diva. We saw it in Zvachim. I'll show it to you here as well. So this guy says one thing, and his Maisa says another thing. You're going to go after the Maisa. So this guy says noodle kugel, and it's potato kugel. It's potato kugel. You can't change it. He says machmas, it's macheshes, it's a macheshes. He says macheshes, and it's a machmas, it's a machmas. Maisa, this is Reb Shimon Shita. Since Maisa, because it's not similar to Zvachim. By Zvachim, all the avodah is in the same. You can't tell the difference, right? So therefore, that's why it's loy alu l'bayil m'shem chayva. Masha ein kain menachos is different. So therefore, let's see it again. 3 lines from the top. Kol menachos says Reb Shimon. Kol menachos shenikmatzu shalei l'shman kisheira is not only kosher, and here's the chiddush. V'alu l'bayil m'shem chayva. Sheina menachos daimis l'svachim. They're not similar to the blood carbon. She'akoyim machavas l'shum acheshes. The action, the physical mitzias of the mincha is l'shum achvas. Chareva l'shum belula. Guys, a minchas chareva is either saita or a minchas chayta. The saita and the minchas chayta, we don't put any ale, we don't put any oil in, right? It stays, it's dry. So if this guy's taking a minchas chayta, and he goes ahead and says, this is what? This is a minchas silas, which is belula, which is, right? You see that what? It's not. So myself machiala right l'shem chareva. Avos v'achem einu kain. Shchita achas lekulan, zvika achas lekulan, kabbalah achas lekulan. So you couldn't tell the difference. We had the Gemara in there. What about shlomim? That's a female, and connected oil has got to be a male. We had that in Zvachim, but we asked that over there. But over here, so it comes out, guys. Reb Shimon is arguing on our mission in 2 ways. One, he says it counts. He says it counts. 2, he says minchas chayt is good. Kol menachos. Chareva, which is a minchas chayt, l'shem belula. Ma'isa machiach alav. So in 2 ways, you guys are here. 2 ways of Shimon, not the Tana of our Mishnah. 1, it counts, and 2, the minchas chayt counts. It's kasha, and not only kasha, it goes all the way. So he's really arguing in 2 things. 1, he's arguing about being oil about Mishnah Chayva, and 2, minchas chayta, where our Mishnah says it doesn't count. This would count over here. Now, we want to say that he's not the Tana of our Mishnah. We want the Mishnah to come out of Rav Shimon for various reasons. Okay, I sent out something to understand the next Gemara. It's important to see this chart. First of all, look at the bottom of the page. You see the little numbers there that Benji put in? Bottom right, guys. 10-8-03, 3-12-11, 8-12-18. This is an aged chart. This is an aged chart. It's a 22-year-old chart. Yeah, do Bez Hashem. Bez Hashem. Okay, so now, Rav Shimon, guys, what happens is we're going to ask a stira. We're going to have 3 terutzim to that stira, okay? We're going to ask a stira, and we're going to have 3 terutzim to stira. Everyone have it? You good? Everyone have it? Good. So we ask the stira. What's the stira? Right side upper column. Rav Shimon says alu, because it's not similar to Zvachim, because ma'aseh mechiyolah. That's what we just said, correct? That's what we just did. What we're going to see in a second, Rav Shimon says that a minchas is like a chatos and like an asham. It's like a chatos that it's puzzle, and it's like an asham that it's kosher but lo yalu. So you have a stira. Here he says alu, and he has a baisa that says lo yalu. It doesn't count, right? That's a stira, yes? Yes, no, maybe? Guys, you see the stira, yes? Okay. The first teretz is Ravashi. Let's go to the last column. Ravashi. Ravashi says, when does it count? Where he's koimitz a machvas mishum acheshes. You know what? He doesn't say the word mincha. Guys, he doesn't say the word mincha. He says koimitz machvas. Where it doesn't count, go down, is koimitz a minchas machvas. I underline minchas. Mishum minchas marcheshes. So if he says the word mincha, if he says that word, then it doesn't count. If he doesn't say that word, then it does count. That's Rav Ashi's teretz. So the Mishnah is going to say our Mishnah can be according to Rav Ashi. It could be that he said the word mincha. He said the word mincha loyolu. So Rav Shimon could be the Tana of our Mishnah. Because our brisa, guys, here, fellas, our brisa that we just quoted is speaking where he didn't say mincha, and therefore alu. If he would have said mincha, it's loyalu. Our Mishnah speaking where he said alu. So like Rav Ashi's terrace to the stira, Rav Shimon could be the Tana of our Mishnah. The Mishnah speaking where you said mincha. If you said the word minchas marcheshes, then it's loyalu. If you said the word minchas marcheshes, it's loyalu. Okay, that's Rav Ashi. Go to the first column, Rabba. Rabba says, when does he say alu? It counts. That's by Shina Kodesh. By Shina Kodesh, fellas, Maisa Machiyav Olav. Guys, Shina Kodesh. He's changing from a minchas machavas to minchas macheshes. Maisa Machiyav Olav. What about if he brings a minchas machavas for Shimon, for Levi, or for Ruvain, or for Levi? Then what? No Maisa Machiyav Olav. It's the same carbon. Therefore, that's why loy alu. That's why loy alu. Yes? Got it? Got it? Got it? He can't be the Tana of our Mishnah, fellas, because our Mishnah is speaking about Shina Kodesh. You can't say, fellas, you can't say that Rabbah could be the Tana of the Mishnah, right? What's right? In other words, we need this bottom column to fit in of Loy Alu. He says, when it's a Loy Alu, by Shinu Bailam. We just did the Mishnah. The Mishnah is speaking about Shina Kodesh. So therefore, Rabbah can't be the Tana. Rav Ashi could be, but Rabbah can't be. Okay, what does Rava say? Rava says there's a minchas l'shem machavas, minchas l'shem macheshes, then it's alu. That's the same category. Whether it's shini kodesh or shini bailim, we don't care. As long as you kept it in the realm of mincha, it's good. When is it layalu? When the Chedushi Rashba, we're not holding there yet, just above the line. Mincha l'shem zevach. If you're being a mincha l'shem zevach, that shaloi l'shma is not going to count. If I bring a mincha machavas l'shem minchas macheshes, or vice versa, it's a mincha, then alu, then it'll count. If I bring a mincha l'shem oila, it's not going to count. It's not going to count. Mincha, it's going to count as a carbon. Okay, so we have those three shitas, yes? We have the three shitas. Now, we're going to try to, I gave you the Gemara, fellas. Guys, I gave you the Gemara. The only one that Rav Shimon can be the Tana of the Mishnah is Rav Ashi. Because Rav Ashi says, when's lei alu? When you say the word mincha, minchas machavas. That's our Mishnah. It can't be Rabbah, because our Mishnah is speaking about Shina Kodesh as well. And it can't be Rava, because our Mincha is not discussing what? Mincha l'shem zevach. Our Mishnah is discussing Mincha l'shem mincha. So therefore, we're going to attempt to say that Rav. Guys, here's the mahalik. Guys, we're going to say that the Mishnah can't be Rav Shimon, and because our Mishnah says lo yalu and Shimon says alu. It could be, it's going to come out. Late Rav Ashi, it could be, but late Rabin, Rav, it can't be. I think we did it. You'll see, Bez Hashem. I think the Gemara will go good, as we say, geschmiert. Geschmiert, right? Yeah, I know. That's the kasha. But but you have to say, it's a chiddush that within the realm of mincha, Rashi says, look at the first Rashi. The Yeskan is first Rashi. Kol Menachos shenikvus shaloi l'shmon. The first Rashi Kigoin she'esnadei minchus macheshes v'heviyah v'kamsa koyin v'om arini koyin l'shem machavas. They give that goof as the example. Shaloi l'shmon. That's good for the chiddush. You know, there's a chiddush in there. You're right. They're both a mincha, right? But within the realm of mincha, it's Chaim's asking. Guys, hear what Chaim's asking. When you bring a shlam and an oila, they're two separate animals. Literally. When you bring a mincha, machavas, mincha, they're both a mincha. They're a subcategory of mincha, but they're a mincha. And that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. Not like that. They're really considered two separate. You see clearly, Rashi, the Yesdan and Rashi. Very geschmack. Okay, let's see the Gemara, guys. Let's see if this worked out. So, Hanicha, go down. Hanicha Rav Ashi. So we have a stira. We have a brayse here saying Olu. Our Mishnah says Lo Yalu. Hanicha Rav Ashi. Damar kan bekomitz machavas l'shem cheshes. When is it Olu? When is it Olu? Where you say the word machavas l'shem cheshes and kan? Where's it Lo Yalu? Bekomitz minchas machavas l'shem minchas marcheshes. You had the word mincha. So Mas Nisan Amishna mincha l'shem minchahi. Our Mishnah is speaking where you said the word mincha, and therefore it's lo yalu. So according to Rav Ashi, Rav Shimon could be the time of our Mishnah. That bottom box fits. Elul Rabba uverava ma'yikla meimar. V'chitema kid the komeshani Rabba kan b'shinei kodesh kan b'shinu bailim, and therefore what? Again, you would have to say our Mishnah is speaking shinui bailim, right? That's where loyolu hamasnis and shini kodeshu. Our Mishnah said shini kodesh diktani ketzad l'shmon shloi l'shmon l'shem minchas chayter l'shem minchas nedava. Okay, so therefore, Rabba guys can't be the Tan of the Mishnah because he said loy olu is by shinoi bailim. I'm Mishnah speaking shinoi kodesh. V'inami kid the komeshani rava kan bekoimitz mincha l'shem mincha kan bekoimitz mincha l'shem zevach. Loy olu is when what? When you're being a mincha l'shem zevach. Hamasnisa mincha l'shem mincha he. Diktani shaloi l'shman shem minchas nedav shem minchas chayta. It didn't say l'shem minchas nedav shem oila. It's clear. Masnisa and the loy Rav Shimon. Our Mishnah is not like Rav Shimon. Our Mishnah is not like Rav Shimon. So what's the Gemara going to do now, guys? It's going to do the chart. This is a classic case of you were on third base before you're on first base. You're running the bases backwards. In other words, because it assumed that you know Rav Ashi, Rabba, and Rava, and you fit them in. So it can't be Rabba and Rava. Let's just chart one more time, guys. One more time. Let's do the chart. I'll feel good then. Our Mishnah says loy olu, right? So we have to concern ourselves with the bottom box. The bottom box is where Shimon says loy olu, ka'asham, right? Ka'asham, k'sheirim v'loy olu. That, in other words, that has to stem with our Mishnah. According to Rav Ashi, last column, koimitz minchas machavas mishum minchas macheshes. Our Mishnah is speaking about that. And in Mela, Rav Shimon, according to Rav Ashi, Rav Shimon, according to Rav Ashi, could be the Tan of Mishnah. The next two, however, whether it's Rabba says Loyolu Shinu Bailim, our Mishnah says Loyolu is Shinu Kodesh. Next one, Mincha L'Shem Zevach is Loyolu. Our Mishnah speaking Mincha L'Shem Mincha, and that's Olu. So therefore, it can't be Rabba and it can't be Rava. It has to be what? Rav Ashi, according to Rav Shimon. Very geschmack. Benji, you have to add the date. Benji, you have the chart. Yeah, you have to add the date, okay? Tomorrow, you'll add it tomorrow. Okay.
My Gemara should be there.
Okay, I'm not going to stop the share to that, but yeah, okay, I'll do with your Gemara. Okay.
Bye.
For Rami, the Rav Shimon, Rav Shimon. Guys, now we're going to have the stira. We have Rav Shimon saying Alu, and now we're going to have Rav Shimon saying Loy Alu, guys. We have Rav Shimon saying Olu, and we're going to have now Rav Shimon saying Olu. Rami the Rav Shimon the Rav Shimon, Tanya. Rav Shimon Aimer. Kodesh Kedashim he, Kechatus Kashim. It says by Mincha, the Mincha is Kodesh Kedashim he, Kechatus Kashim. Yesh mehem Kechatas, v'yesh mehem Kashim. You have some that are like a Chatas, and some like an Asham. Mincha is Chayter, the Mincha of the Chayter, again, the oil of Yairi, the three, Hari he, Kechatas. Lefikach. Kamsa shaloi lishman psula kechatas. Minchis nedava hari kaasham. Lefikach kamsa shaloi lishma kashera kaasham. It's ma asham kasha ve'enim aratze. Just like an asham shaloi lishma. Again, only Shittas Rebbe Eliezer says the chatas is like the asham is like the chatas. We just had that at the end of Zvachim. Ma asham kasha ve'enim aratze. It's not accepted for the owner. Good. So that's the stira, right? He's saying like an asham, it's meratze, but it says like olu, and yet he said over here olu does count. That's a stira. So Amar Rabba to answer the stira like kasha. Kan, when is it olu b'shina kodesh? Kan, when is it loy olu b'shina bailim? Amar le'abaya michti machshava de pasla rachmana, right? De pasla rachmana hekeshehi. Mali shini kodesh, mali shini bailim. The machshava that the Torah apostles, we learn that from Shlomim, guys. We learn that from Shlomim, hekesh to Shlomim. We learn hekesh to Shlomim. What difference does it make if it's shini kodesh? What difference does it make shini bailim? So, l'chayra, you're making a distinction. You, Rabbah, are saying shini kodesh is alu, shini bailim is loy alu, right? So how can you make a distinction? We learn that from Shlomim. There's no distinction there by shini kodesh, shini bailim. Amalei, so Rabba told Abaya, Maiseh Mochichin, right? The Maisa disproves the Ka'amar Reb Shimon, Svarahi. Reb Shimon Dorish time of the Kra. The Maisa Machicha that Reb Shimon says is a Svara because Reb Shimon Darshan's time of the Kra. Machshava Dloi Minkara. Now here's the time of the Kra. It's true. Machshava Dloi Minkara. A Machshava that's not recognizable, guys. Shini Bailam because you're changing the person. You don't know. Ruvain Shimon. There's no Maisa Machicha. There's a difference. You're making a machvas l'machvas, a macheshes. The only difference is the Kohen is saying it's for Ruvain, it's for Shimon. So there's no Maisa Machiach there. So that machshava pasal rachmana. Machshava de minkara, but a machshava de minkara that you could recognize that it's wrong. Guys, he's saying I'm taking a potato kugel and making it into a noodle kugel. You know, so the Kohen saying I'm taking this machavas and making a macheshes. It's a machvas. So there, that machshava is minkara. We're going to go ahead and be mevatel that machshava. That machshava is not going to count. That machshava is not going to count. Okay, I want to do one Rashi where it gets very, very wide, about 4 lines down. Aval machshava de minkara l'chol shehu mechazev lehavi hamachshava. Guys, are here, fellas. You learn out the machshava, the raw machshava passes. What happens if your machshava is nishkan machshava? It's not machshava. In other words, whatever you're thinking is baloney. Look at Lashon Rashi. Look at Rashi. The minkara l'chol, right? He shows to everyone shu mechazev that the guy's lying. It's a potato kugel. You can't tell me it's a noodle kugel. It's a potato kugel. Lehavi machshava. That's not a machshava. Hach machshava de kochim haitzaz dibur pehu, fellas. This machshava of kochim, you know what it is? It's saying it openly. It's haitzaz dibur bepeh. You're verbalizing. You're saying it. The guy's not. I'm thinking that it's a machshava. I'm thinking that it's a marcheshes. That, in other words, Rashi is bothered by how do you know what? So he's verbalizing it. Kedamir ba mitzia al kol gava pesha lechayiv al machshava kemaisa. The lav mitzi bepeh. Machshavas minus chayiv love. Not that he's mitzvah repair. How can you chayiv a guy from machshava? The only machshava chayiv is a beit zara. Guys, you good? Okay. It's working backwards. It's really working backwards. Okay. So far we have Rabbi's teretz. When we say Olu accounts, that's by Shini Kodesh. When doesn't it count? Olu, that's Shini Bailim. What's the difference? Shini Kodesh, Maisa, Machiach Alav, that is machshav is nothing. And Memela, it counts. We'll do it away with it like nothing. But it's a machshav de loy minkara, where it's Shini Bailim. Then machshav de loy minkara, Shini Bailim. We're not going to do. We can't do away with it, and that would passel loy Olu. It would not be. It would not count. That's what Rabbi answered Abaya. So Elamayata. Abaya continues. Elamayata. Oilis sa'if. Shemolko. Okay, now, guys, there's a little hakdama beforehand. Guys, I'm going to remind you. You remember this yourself. There's 2 types of birds. There's a chata sa'if and there's an oilif sa'if. The oilif sa'if was brought above the chata sikra. The chata sa'if was brought below the chata sikra. The oilif sa'if you did mitzui. You squeezed the blood out. The chata sa'if you did hazah, and then you did mitzui after hazah. So 2, location, also the head, whether the head is severed or not, in half. Okay. So now, says the Gemara, Elamayata. Oila sa'if, shemolka l'mayla mishum chata sa'if. Oila sa'if, that you were moilik mishum chata sa'if, tirtze, right? It should be accepted. And the owner should not have to bring another one. So Maisa Machia Laha, the Oila sa'ofi. The Maisa shows that it's Oila Sa'if. The Chata Sa'ifi, Lamati Avid Avidlei. Fellas, he's above the Chira Sikra. He's saying, I'm bringing a Chatas. What is this action saying? It's an Oila. What are you doing? So it's a potato kugel. It's not a noodle kugel, right? It's a potato kugel. It's an Oila. Why is it an Oila? Because you're above the Chira Sikra. So why do you tell me an Oila Shem Chatas doesn't work? It should work. If you, Rabbi, are telling me and we do away his machshava because the machshava is not machshava because the ma'isa. So therefore, why do we say an oilus oif of the shem chatas oif doesn't work? It's ma'isa machiach since it's above the chutas sikra. It should work. It's ma'isa machiach that it's an oila. You think you can't have a case of chatas? Hamamar, guys, you might remember this. Malika b'chol makayim mizbeach keshera. The malika of a chata sa'if b'chol makom is kasha. So even if I'm above the chut sikra, it's not my, since malika of chatas oif in that area is okay. You don't have ma'isa mochiach that it's an oila. I'm not supposed to do it above, but if I do the malika above, it's good. It's still kasha. So if it's still kasha, the fact that I'm up there is not ma'isa mochiach that it's an oila. That's it. Says the Gemara, oila sa'oif shemitzui dama l'mayla l'shem chatas sa'oif tirtza. Oila sa'oif that you did mitzui, right, above the shem chatas oif tirtza, ma'aseh machicha la da'oila sa'oifi, as Chaim just said, fellas, if you're above that, you'd have to do hazah. Here you're doing mitzvah. So the fact that you say call it chatzah all you want, you're not doing mitzvah. The fact you're doing mitzvah above the chadasikra with the bird screams out it's an oilus life. Because why? You're doing mitzvah. You're doing mitzvah. So if you bring an oilus life that you're saying what l'shem chatas, how can it not work? It should work. Why? That what? That even though the location above is not ma'aseh mochiach, the mitzvah is ma'aseh mochiach. The mitzvah, the fact I learned mitzvah was pushing it against the. I always thought it meant pushing against. It seems to be, if you look at Rashi, Rashi says the bottom Rashi hazah. Hazah is oichis begufa oif. You hold on to the bird. Mailu moiri bekoyach v'dam nitas miatzma. That's the way we learned. You know, the guys, you're taking a bird and you're going like this. Mitzvah soichit bein etzba oisav. You're squeezing it between your fingers. It seems like that's not the way I learned. I always learned you pushed it against the mizbeach. Rashi seems to be saying you go like this, guys. Look, and it goes shoots out. That's what Rashi seems to. Didn't you always learn mitzvah? You push against the mizbeach.
That's what you said.
What?
That's what you said.
Yeah, I thought I always thought I have to check this out. I thought mitzvah you put it against the mizbeach. Rashi seems to say you don't shake the bird. You just go like this. You push it like that, and it comes out. Okay. Anyway. But the kasha, so therefore, Fed Gemara kasha let mitzvah. It should because the ma'aseh mechiyat that it's an oila. The ichatas oifi lamata avi avidlei and hazah, right? If it was a chatas oif, then it should be below and hazah. So kasha, guys, you tell me ma'aseh mechiyat alav. You tell me a potato kugel to a noodle kugel. Ma'aseh lemar cheshes, right? So I know a chatas. If you do a chatas above, it doesn't work. Now it should work. Why? Because ma'aseh mechiyat, that's an oila. Says the Gemara, no, malika above works. Says the Gemara, oila sa'oif l'shem chatas. You go ahead and you're doing it above. It's l'chayra good. Forget about the location, but the fact that you're doing mitzvah, right? The fact that you're doing mitzvah is a raya. It's an oila. Now you might remember I told you about chatas oif. There's two dinim. There's hazah, and whatever's left over, then you do mitzvah. So the fact that you're doing mitzvah, it could be you're doing the mitzvah after the hazah. So you have no ma'aseh machiach. In other words, after you do the act of hazah, there's an act of squeezing. Even by the oila soif, you're only squeezing. By the chatas soif, you're spritzing, and then you're also squeezing. Says Gemara, Amri Dilma mitzvah the basa hazahi. People will say that it's a chatas, and it's the mitzvah that's after the hazah, so you don't have ma'aseh machiach alav. Dilma mitzvah the basa hazahu da'amah. Dama mar, mitzvah dama b'chol makom, mizbeach k'sheira. If you do mitzvah b'chol makom k'sheira. Okay, so now if you have ma'aseh machiach, how about this case? Chatas oif shehiza dama lamata l'shem oilas oif tiratze a chatas oif. So you're in the right location and you're doing the right thing. You're doing hazah below the chatas sikra, and you're saying l'shem oila. It should help. The ma'aseh machiach la the chatas oifi, the oilas oifi. L'mayla havi avidlei, umitza havi avidlei. Guys, let's go through this. Guys, look at me. You're below the guys on Zoom. Look at me. You're below the chatas sikra, right? You're below. This is screaming out chatas hazah. Good. You go ahead and you do that. The chatas hazah l'shem oila. How in the world? And say it doesn't work. How in the world doesn't it work? You can't possibly say this is an oila. Of course, if it's an oila, A, it should be up here, and B, it should you being doing mitzvah, you shouldn't be doing hazah. So the fact that it's a chatas below, the fact that you're doing hazah below, neither one applies to an Oila Saif. So why, if you do a Chata Saif, the same Oila Saif below, if Maisa Mochiach Alav, if the action goes ahead and describes what it is, it should be Kasha. That's the Kasha. That's the Kasha. And for the Gemara, Hachanami, and Hachanami, it does work. It does work. By Oifis, it does work. So if you're doing a Chata Saif below with Hazah, the same Oila Saif, it's going to be Kasha. Why? Because Maisa Mochiach Alav. Ela lefisha ena menacha is doimus lizvachim ka'amar lizvachim v'loy la'ifis. In other words, the lashon of Rav Shimon was, right, guys, look at the Amid base, 3 lines from the top. Kol menacha shenikvtzu shaloy l'shman k'sheiros v'olu l'bayim l'shem chayva she'ein minchas doimus lizvachim. Right. In other words, it's very meduyak. It didn't say that they're not daima la'ifis. It said they're not daima to zvachim. Because taka oifis, they are daima. Because you have a case of oif that maisa would be machiach. So guys, Rabbi's teretz. The reason why Shinu Kodesh works is because you have a maisa telling us whatever he said is baloney. So if he's taking a machavas, I call it potato kugel, and he's going in and saying this is noodle kugel, it's not noodle kugel, it's potato kugel. You said it's noodle kugel. The mice is machiach. It's not. Ain't the machshava. Again, we will not consider whatever he came out as machshava. We won't consider it at all. That's of Shimon. Fred Dabai, if that's the case, by Ofis also, I can find the case also where he's saying potato kugel and it's noodle kugel. I mean, it's not noodle kugel. What's the case? What's the case? The case is I'm bringing a chata soif below the chutta sikra, right? The shame oila soif. Not only am I bringing it, I'm doing every single action of a chata soif. A, it's below the chutta sikra. B, I'm doing hazah, I'm doing spritzing instead of squeezing. Why doesn't it count? It can't possibly an oila. An oila is above, and an oila is mitzvah. It's not hazah. And so for the Gemara attack, it does count. Because why? Because my samachiyach alav. And the lashon is mitzvah also. Because it says kol hazvachim, because they're done with the zvach. Kol mincha is done with the zvachim, but not oilas. Zvachim, they never ma'aseh mechiach alav. All the dams, the shchit the same, halach the same, kabbalah the same, everything the same. Mashenka by oifos, it's different.